Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in every person's life when you must confront the version of yourself that no longer fits your future. The greatest enemy of your destiny is not the devil, it is the old you, the version of you that has become comfortable, predictable, and satisfied with yesterday's success. You see, life is designed for growth. Everything God created grows. The moment something stops growing, it starts dying. The same applies to you. You were never designed to stay the same. The tragedy of life is not that we die too soon. It is that we live too long at the same level. Growth is the original intention of life. From the moment you were born, everything around you was designed to move, to increase, to mature. Nothing God created was meant to remain in its first form. A seed is not supposed to stay a seed, it becomes a tree. A child is not meant to remain a child, they grow into adulthood. Even the seasons change, the tides move, and the universe itself expands. This is the law of life, growth. The same law applies to your purpose, your mind, and your potential. You were created to evolve. You were designed to keep stretching toward the fullness of what you were meant to be. When you stop growing, you stop fulfilling the reason you exist. Growth is not optional, it is the proof of life. When a plant stops growing, it starts dying. When a relationship stops growing, it begins to wither. When your vision stops expanding, your influence begins to shrink. Growth is not something that happens by accident. It must be intentional. You cannot drift into development. You must choose it. The tragedy is that many people mistake movement for progress. They are busy but not growing. They repeat the same routines, live the same year over and over, and call it a life. But movement without transformation is deception. You may change locations, jobs, or even friends, but if your mind stays the same, your life will not change. Growth begins in the mind. Before your circumstances expand, your thoughts must. The mind is the womb of change. As a person thinks, so they become. You cannot live above your thoughts. Your life will always move in the direction of your dominant mindset. That is why growth requires a renewing of the mind. You must challenge your own thinking, question the beliefs that limit you, confront the fears that confine you, and replace small thoughts with big ones. The most dangerous prison is not made of bars or walls. It is built from limiting ideas. Some people have become prisoners of their past, held captive by memories that whisper, "This is all you can be." But growth refuses to be confined. It says, "There must be more in me than this." Every living thing grows because it draws nourishment from its environment. What you feed on determines how far you grow. If you constantly consume negativity, fear, and doubt, your potential will starve. But if you feed your mind with wisdom, truth, and vision, you will grow strong enough to outlast opposition. Growth thrives in environments that challenge you, not comfort you. The seed grows best when it is buried in darkness because pressure activates potential. In the same way, the challenges you face are not meant to destroy you, they are meant to develop you. Hardship is the soil of greatness. Growth rarely happens in convenience. It happens in the moments when you decide to keep pushing, keep believing, and keep learning despite the resistance. Growth is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming more of who you truly are. Deep within you, there is a version of yourself that has not yet been revealed. The person God designed you to be before fear, doubt, and failure tried to redefine you. Growth is the process of peeling away everything that is not you so that the real you can emerge. The caterpillar does not become a butterfly by adding wings. It becomes a butterfly by shedding its old form. Likewise, growth is not about accumulation but transformation. It is about releasing what no longer serves your destiny. One reason many people resist growth is because it demands change, and change feels uncomfortable. It threatens our sense of control. Yet, comfort is the enemy of progress. The moment you get comfortable, you begin to decline. Growth requires the courage to be uncomfortable, to step into spaces where you are no longer the expert, to take on challenges that stretch your capacity, to attempt things that scare you. You cannot grow in safety. Faith itself demands risk. Every great breakthrough in life comes when you dare to leave what is familiar in pursuit of what is possible. To grow is to honor the potential inside you. You are not an accident. You are an assignment. There is more in you than what you have become. But potential without growth remains trapped inside. It is a tragedy to die full of potential, to leave the earth with songs not sung, ideas not expressed, and dreams not realized. Growth is how you empty yourself of all that God placed in you. It is how you ensure that when your time on this earth is done, you have poured out everything you carried. Every day you wake up, you are given a new opportunity to grow. Growth is not a season, it is a lifestyle. It requires daily decisions, small consistent improvements, and the willingness to keep learning. You do not grow by accident, you grow by design. You grow by setting standards that stretch you, by surrounding yourself with people who challenge you, and by pursuing excellence in everything you do. Growth is the evidence that you are still alive in purpose. So if you ever find yourself too comfortable, too certain, too content, that is your sign to grow again. Because as long as you are breathing, there is still more of you waiting to emerge. The old version of you was enough for the season you just came through, but it will not be enough for the season you are stepping into. Every stage of your life requires a different version of you. The skills, mindset, and habits that carried you through the last chapter were designed for that level, not for the one that's coming. Growth means recognizing that what once worked might no longer serve your future. The tools that helped you survive might now limit your progress. Life is progressive. Each level demands new understanding, new faith, and new discipline. You cannot use yesterday's instructions to navigate tomorrow's opportunities. Many people are frustrated not because their destiny has been denied, but because they are trying to enter the next season wearing the clothes of the last one. The old version of you has outdated thinking patterns, beliefs that were shaped by past pain, old limitations, or expired experiences. Those thoughts once protected you, but now they restrict you. You can't conquer a new territory with an old mindset. Before new doors open, old mindsets must close. Every time God wants to elevate you, He first challenges how you think. The battlefield of destiny is always in the mind. Until you outgrow your old thoughts, you cannot step into your new life. Think about it. What kept you safe in one stage might keep you small in the next. The caterpillar was designed to crawl, but when the time for transformation comes, crawling becomes a limitation. The wings that carry the butterfly forward were already hidden inside the caterpillar, but they could only emerge through change. In the same way, the next version of you already exists within you, waiting for permission to grow. The problem is, too many people fall in love with their old selves. They become attached to a season that was only meant to be temporary. You cannot reach your next level if you are emotionally loyal to the last one. The old version of you might be comfortable. It knows how to function, how to survive, how to keep things predictable. But comfort is costly. It robs you of growth. Every new level of destiny requires discomfort, risk, and faith. To become the person your future demands, you must be willing to let go of the person your past created. That means releasing habits that no longer serve you, relationships that no longer feed you, and routines that no longer challenge you. You can't carry unnecessary weight and expect to fly. Growth always requires subtraction before addition. Something must leave your life before something greater can enter. There are conversations you can no longer engage in, distractions you can no longer entertain, and excuses you can no longer tolerate. The old version of you may have justified procrastination or fear, but the new version of you is accountable to purpose. The old you might have sought comfort, the new you seeks calling. The old you might have depended on approval, the new you is anchored in conviction. Transformation is not just about changing what you do. It's about changing who you are becoming. It's about aligning your character with your destiny. You must also understand that the new version of you demands greater discipline. Success always asks for a higher level of structure. If you want to go further, you must be willing to tighten your standards. The old you may have survived on passion, but the new you will require strategy. The old you might have relied on emotion, but the new you must operate on vision. Discipline is the bridge between potential and fulfillment. Without it, your dreams remain ideas. The next season of your life is waiting for you to develop the habits that can sustain the blessing you've been praying for. Sometimes life will force the transition by closing doors, removing people, or disrupting routines. It's not punishment, it's preparation. When life starts shaking, it's often a sign that your old version is expiring. If you resist change, you'll stay trapped in cycles that no longer match your capacity. The most dangerous place to be is where your growth has outpaced your environment. The things that once felt big now feel too small, and the conversations that once inspired you now drain you. That's your cue that it's time to upgrade. It takes courage to outgrow yourself. It means admitting that what got you here won't get you there. It means forgiving yourself for mistakes, releasing shame, and embracing the process of becoming. It means accepting that evolution sometimes looks like loss. You might lose comfort, friends, or recognition, but what you gain is authenticity, clarity, and power. You cannot rise without release. The seed cannot sprout until it lets go of its shell. The new you cannot emerge until the old one surrenders. You have outgrown your past fears, but you still wear them like armor. You have outgrown your excuses, but you still use them as shields. It's time to drop the old weapons of defense and pick up new tools of destiny. Stop fighting for the survival of an outdated version of yourself. You have learned what you needed to learn, endured what you needed to endure, and become who you needed to be in that season. Now, a new season demands your evolution. The future you desire is not waiting for more resources or more opportunities. It's waiting for more of you. The stronger, wiser, bolder version of you. The version that no longer repeats the same patterns but creates new standards. The version that stops reacting and starts leading. You can't carry yesterday's mindset into tomorrow's miracles. So, when the old version of you whispers, "Stay where it's safe," you must answer with faith and say, "I was not built to stay the same," because the next level of your destiny is reserved for the next level of your identity. Growth is never comfortable because it demands change, and change always challenges the parts of us that crave safety and stability. Every person desires progress, but not everyone is willing to endure the discomfort that comes with it. The truth is, you cannot evolve without pain. Pain is the price of progress. It is the evidence that transformation is taking place. Just as muscles must tear to grow stronger, your character must be stretched to expand. Growth requires that you walk through seasons of uncertainty, inconvenience, and sacrifice. It will not always feel good, but it will always be good for you. The moment you decide to grow, life begins to test your decision. It introduces resistance, pressure, and obstacles, not because the universe is against you, but because those tests are necessary to refine you. Pressure reveals weakness. It exposes what still needs work and strengthens what is ready for more. Without pressure, potential remains dormant. Diamonds are formed under pressure. Gold is purified by fire. If you ask for growth, you are also asking for situations that will challenge your comfort zone. Growth never comes in the shallow end. It happens in the deep waters of faith, discipline, and perseverance. When you start growing, you will begin to outgrow the environments and habits that once felt normal. The conversations that used to entertain you will begin to drain you. The places that once satisfied you will no longer feel like home. This is where growth becomes painful, when you realize that you must leave behind what no longer fits your future. You can't step into new dimensions while holding on to old distractions. Some relationships, habits, and routines are only suitable for the version of you that is fading away. To move forward, you must release them. Letting go hurts, but holding on costs more. Growth will often isolate you before it elevates you. When you start changing, not everyone will understand. Some will question your motives or accuse you of thinking you are better than others. But the truth is, you are not trying to be better than anyone. You are trying to be better than who you were. This is why growth demands courage. You must be willing to walk alone for a season, to face misunderstanding, and to stay faithful to your purpose even when others do not see it yet. Growth is not a popularity contest. It is a personal journey toward purpose. Discomfort is the soil where transformation takes root. Every great achievement, every breakthrough, every level of mastery was born out of someone's willingness to endure what others avoided. The easy road never produces greatness. The people who rise in life are those who choose discipline over comfort, purpose over pleasure, and growth over familiarity. If you only do what feels good, you will stay small. The moment you decide to embrace the uncomfortable, whether it's waking up early, studying harder, facing your fears, or taking responsibility for your mistakes, you begin to unlock new dimensions of strength and potential. Growth also requires emotional endurance. It's not just about working harder. It's about learning to remain steady when things don't go your way. There will be seasons when your effort doesn't seem to match your results. You will plant seeds and see no harvest for a while. But that waiting season is not wasted. It is where roots grow deep. The tree that grows tall must first grow downward. Likewise, before you see visible success, your character must grow strong enough to sustain it. Patience is not the absence of activity. It is the discipline of trust. The discomfort of growth will challenge your identity. It will make you question who you are and what you're capable of. It will expose insecurities and force you to confront hidden fears. But instead of running from that discomfort, learn to use it. The struggle is shaping you. the pain is producing wisdom, humility, and resilience. Every time you choose to stay in the process rather than escape it, you grow stronger. You become more stable, more focused, more aware of your power. Growth is not glamorous, it's gritty. But when you look back, you will realize that every uncomfortable moment was building the person you were destined to become. Many people pray for success, but avoid the path that creates it. They want the promise without the process. But the process is what qualifies you for the promise. You cannot carry a great destiny with weak discipline. Every challenge you face is an invitation to strengthen a part of you that will be needed later. The pain of growth is temporary, but the reward is lasting. The discomfort you endure today will become the wisdom and confidence you use tomorrow. Growth also demands that you face yourself. It's easy to blame circumstances or other people for where you are, but growth begins when you take ownership of your life. You cannot change what you refuse to confront. Facing your own weaknesses, your own patterns, your own excuses, that's the hardest part of the journey. But that honesty is where real transformation begins. When you stop running from yourself, you start healing. And healing is one of the purest forms of growth. So embrace the stretch. When life becomes uncomfortable, remind yourself that you are being expanded. When challenges arise, see them as confirmation that you are on the right path. Growth is not punishment, it is preparation. The struggle is shaping the strength you will need for the blessings ahead. Every great destiny comes with great demands, and the discomfort you feel today is simply the evidence that you are being built for something greater than where you are now. Change is not something that happens by accident. It must be pursued with intention. Growth does not come to those who wait passively. It comes to those who choose it, plan for it, and discipline themselves to sustain it. Many people want a better life, a stronger character, or greater influence, but they wait for life to push them into transformation. They hope circumstances will change, that motivation will suddenly appear, or that someone else will lead them forward. But growth is not external, it is internal. It begins the moment you make a decision that enough is enough, that the person you are today will not be the limit of who you can become tomorrow. To grow intentionally means you take ownership of your development. You do not wait for pain, failure, or crisis to teach you what you can learn through discipline. Most people only change when life forces them to. They wait until a job loss, a broken relationship, or a health scare shakes them awake. But wise people choose to change before they are forced to. They do not wait for life to demand growth. They demand it of themselves. They ask, what can I learn now so I don't have to repeat this lesson later? Intentional growth saves you from unnecessary struggle because it prepares you before the test arrives. Intentionality begins with awareness. You cannot grow in areas you ignore. You must first become honest about where you are, what limits you, and what needs to improve. That means confronting truths that may be uncomfortable. It requires humility to admit that your current habits are not producing the results you desire. You cannot fix what you are not willing to face. Many people defend their weaknesses instead of developing them. They justify behaviors that keep them stuck because acknowledging them would require effort and accountability. But intentional growth is impossible without honesty. Self-deception is the enemy of progress. Once you are aware of what needs to change, the next step is discipline. Growth is not a single decision, it is a series of daily choices. It is what you do consistently that defines who you become. Motivation can inspire you to start, but discipline keeps you growing when the excitement fades. Every great achiever understands this principle: consistency is stronger than intensity. It's not about doing one big thing occasionally, it's about doing small right things repeatedly. Reading a few pages daily, practicing your skill regularly, waking up earlier, managing your time wisely. These small acts compound into transformation. Being intentional also means being selective about your environment. Growth thrives in the right atmosphere. You cannot grow if you constantly surround yourself with people who settle. Environments shape energy, and energy shapes effort. If you want to rise higher, position yourself among people who challenge you, who expect more from you, and who refuse to let you stay the same. Mentorship, learning, and accountability are essential ingredients for intentional growth. You must expose yourself to higher thinking, greater standards, and new perspectives. You cannot expand if you keep feeding on the same level of input. Growth begins where comfort ends, and sometimes that means walking into rooms where you are no longer the smartest or most talented person. Intentional growth also requires vision. Without a clear sense of direction, effort becomes wasted energy. You need to know why you are growing and what you are growing toward. Vision gives meaning to the process. When you understand your purpose, you can endure the discipline that growth requires. Vision keeps you focused when distractions arise and strengthens your resolve when things get difficult. Without vision, growth feels like strain. With vision, it feels like progress. That's why it's important to write your goals, to measure your development, and to celebrate your milestones along the way. There will be times when intentional growth feels slow, when it seems like your effort isn't producing results. But growth is not always visible at first. Just as roots grow underground before the tree appears above the surface, internal development always precedes external success. Patience is a vital part of intentional growth. The key is to stay committed even when you can't see immediate change. Every act of discipline is a seed. Every moment of learning, every decision to stay focused, every refusal to quit. All of it compounds over time until it becomes fruit. Intentional growth also demands self-leadership. You cannot expect others to push you toward your goals more than you push yourself. You must learn to hold yourself accountable when no one else is watching. That means keeping promises to yourself, maintaining your standards, and doing what needs to be done even when you don't feel like it. Self-leadership is the foundation of every form of success. You cannot influence others effectively until you first master your own impulses and habits. The difference between those who grow and those who remain the same is not opportunity, it's intention. Everyone has potential, but potential without intentional action remains dormant. You must decide that mediocrity is no longer acceptable, that your comfort zone is too small for your calling. When you live intentionally, you stop blaming luck, timing, or other people. You understand that your life is a reflection of your decisions. The person you will become in the next 5 years is being shaped by the choices you make today. Intentional growth is not glamorous. It doesn't happen in one grand moment. It happens in the quiet daily choices that no one sees. It's waking up earlier to pray, to study, to plan. It's saying no to distractions that look good but don't align with your goals. It's doing the hard work of consistency even when applause is absent. And when you live that way, change becomes predictable. You no longer hope to grow, you ensure that you do. Growth is not magic, it is managed by discipline, directed by purpose, and sustained by intention. The future does not belong to those who simply wish for it. It belongs to those who are willing to grow into it. Every dream, every vision, every divine promise requires a version of you that is prepared to handle it. The destiny you see in your heart is not waiting for a perfect moment. It is waiting for a mature version of you. The life you want is already possible, but the person you are right now may not yet be capable of sustaining it. That is why growth is not optional. It is the bridge between your present reality and your future potential. The more you grow, the more you expand your ability to carry greater responsibility, greater influence, and greater blessing. Too many people desire new levels of success while refusing to change at the level of character. They pray for increase, but resist the discipline that increase demands. The truth is, your destiny can never rise higher than your maturity. Opportunities will always match your level of preparation. When your internal world is not aligned with your external goals, life will withhold what you are not ready to manage. The future you envision requires integrity, focus, and endurance. These qualities are not given, they are grown. And until you intentionally develop them, your future will remain a picture instead of a reality. Every new level introduces new challenges. The higher you go, the thinner the air becomes. What you could get away with in your last season will not be tolerated in your next one. The habits that kept you comfortable will become obstacles to your progress. Growth means letting go of what feels familiar so you can embrace what is required. You must trade convenience for commitment, comfort for calling, and ease for excellence. That transition is never simple, but it is always necessary. Each time you choose growth over comfort, you prove to yourself that your future matters more than your feelings. The future belongs to those who are willing to be stretched beyond what is easy. It belongs to those who embrace learning, correction, and continuous improvement. Every skill can be refined, every weakness can be strengthened, and every limitation can be challenged. The people who live fulfilled lives are not the ones who never failed. They are the ones who refuse to stop growing after failure. Growth turns pain into wisdom, mistakes into lessons, and delay into preparation. When you adopt a growth mindset, nothing in your life is wasted. Everything becomes a teacher that shapes you for what is ahead. The process of outgrowing your comfort zone will often feel uncomfortable because it means leaving the known for the unknown. Yet the unknown is where potential lives. You cannot discover what you are capable of while hiding behind safety. Faith will always call you to step beyond what you can control. Growth begins where certainty ends. That's where you learn to trust your vision more than your fear, your purpose more than your pain, and your preparation more than your excuses. When you push yourself to do what seems impossible, you discover that the limits you feared were never real. They were only mental barriers waiting to be broken. To reach your future, you must also guard your focus. Growth and distraction cannot coexist. Every moment spent on what doesn't matter is a moment stolen from your destiny. The old version of you might have had the luxury of wasting time, but the new version of you must treat time as a sacred resource. Focused people understand that saying yes to their purpose means saying no to almost everything else. The discipline to stay focused separates those who dream from those who achieve. You cannot enter the future you desire if your attention is divided between what is meaningful and what is meaningless. The future you want is not built in a day, it is built daily. Every small act of improvement, every intentional decision, and every moment of discipline moves you closer to becoming who you need to be. You may not see immediate results, but growth is always taking place beneath the surface. Just as a tree grows roots before branches, your unseen development is preparing you for visible elevation. Don't despise the process of small steps. They are shaping the strength you'll need for greater things. The future also belongs to those who believe in their own potential enough to invest in it. No one else can grow for you. People can inspire, teach, or guide you, but they cannot do your work. Growth is a personal responsibility. You must decide that mediocrity will no longer be your standard. When you take ownership of your potential, you stop waiting for luck and start creating momentum. Every hour you spend learning, improving, or refining your craft is a seed planted into your future. Sooner or later, that investment will produce a harvest. You must also understand that your destiny is not just about you. It's connected to others. When you grow, you expand your capacity to lead, to serve, and to impact lives. The better you become, the more value you can give. The future rewards those who grow not only for themselves, but for the people who will depend on their growth. Every generation advances when someone chooses to rise above complacency. When you outgrow the old version of yourself, you make room for others to do the same. Your growth becomes a signal of what is possible. So, if your future seems distant, if your dreams feel too large, remember this truth. It is not the dream that is too big. It is your current level of growth that is too small. Don't wait for life to catch up to your expectations. Grow until your capacity matches your calling. Stretch until your character can hold your vision. The future is not a place you stumble upon, it is a state you grow into. And the moment you commit to growth, your future begins to unfold. So, decide today that you will no longer wait for the future to come to you. You will grow into it. Refuse to let fear, comfort, or complacency keep you anchored to who you used to be. Every step of intentional growth, every act of courage, and every sacrifice you make is shaping the person your destiny requires. The future is not promised to the strongest or the smartest. It belongs to those who are willing to evolve. Keep stretching, keep learning, and keep believing, because the version of you that will fulfill your purpose is already being formed through your commitment to grow.